with another unboxing, well, an unbagging. I'm continuing on with my unbag of DVG goodness in the Spruance Leader release that just came out. I did an unboxing for the base game, Spruance Leader. I'll put some links to that in the description if you want to see what is in the big box. But it also came along with 3 expansions, or there are 3 expansions for it. And DVG was kind enough to give me a copy, so I'm going to be kind enough to unbag it. And I'm going to be kind enough to play it. And I'm going to be kind enough to try to do some more content on it, because this looks interesting. This is part of the Leader series. It's not your typical air leader type game. This is a naval game, and you're mainly controlling a task force. So you're controlling, several ships at once, and they're taking on different roles, whether they're screening or support or part of the main force. There's submarines involved, and I've done, I'll put a link to that. I did an unbagging of the submarine expansion. As I said, there are 3 expansions. One is submarine focused. This one is carrier focused, carrier expansion. And then there's a 3rd one called Allies expansion. So I imagine that's going to add some more countries or factions to your mix. But this one is the carrier expansion. And there's a lot in this bag. This is the Spruance Leader comes in a good sized box, but with the 3 expansions plus everything that's already in here, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get it all back in. Definitely not without definitely not with the insert. That's got to go. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do a counter tray. It's probably going to have to be a bag. So bag the counters and the cards, which is what I typically do. I think that for Zero Leader and for Phantom Leader. Anyway, this is the carrier expansion. You get carrier cards, carrier captains, new targets, and counters. So let's get into this bag and see what we get in here. Now with the leader system, if you're familiar with it, there's usually, like with the pilots or the planes usually have a pilot name, and there's usually, multiple editions of that plane/pilot, because it advances up over time. You get experience points in these games, and you get to advance, and you go in levels. Well, Spruance Leader continues that with the ships and with the commanders or captains, and then the subs did that for subs and for sub-commanders, so I imagine we're probably going to see some of that in the carrier. I'm just guessing. I haven't cracked into this yet, but they have a system of from newbie up to warrior, so you get 3 cards per ship or commander, and they'll start off at newbie, and then they'll advance up as you get more experience. So let's see what else we got in here. We'll do the cards last. So you're going to get, this is a display here. This is the carrier airstrike target attack. So it looks like you have some holding boxes here for air escort. You have your target. So this is dealing with carrier. So, carriers, of course, have aircraft, and so this is dealing with maybe your holding boxes as you're launching off the carrier. So it's a carrier airstrike sequence. So interesting. See how that plays out. That's something new. And then the rest of this, we've got several missions or campaigns, whatever you want to call them here, to add to the game. So we have Plowing the Road, Mediterranean Cold War, 1985. And with these campaigns, you're going to see, the target cards will be in here. Then you got an overview, easy, skill levels, short, you can pick short or long campaign. And then you have your task force track, your activity tracks here. Here's Med Black Sea Deterrence, 1988. Another Falkland Islands War scenario. There's one in the main box. Stem the Tide, 1988. This is in the Atlantic, North Atlantic there. Pacific Carrier Cold War, 1988. That's interesting. Okay. And Sino-Russian War, Cold War, 1982. Looks interesting. Indonesia, Soviet influence. So there's a lot of missions in the base game, and then with each of these expansions are adding more missions. I imagine this one is trying to focus a little bit more on carriers. The sub expansion was, imagine that was trying to focus more on sub type missions or campaigns. So you have that. Looks like you get, 3 counter sheets. The sub had 2. This one has 3 counter sheets. So take a look there. Looks like you're going to get a lot more aircraft. We got some helicopters here and some aircraft because, you know, this is a carrier game, right? So you probably need some more aircraft. Of course, they're double-sided and they're decent DVG thickness. And when they pop out, you don't necessarily need to. With that thickness, you're probably not going to want to counter clip them anyway, but you really don't need to. There's really not nibs on these things. Some more aircraft. And then yet some more aircraft. The F-14 Tomcat, F-4J Phantom II, and some carriers here. And you got some markers here too for the game. And of course they're double-sided, so you get 3 counter sheets. Then you get your rules. The sub book came with a rule specific, and this one is going to be carrier expansion rule book. It's a little bit longer than the sub one. It is, well, a lot of blank here, but 22 pages. This is talking about some of the carriers that come in the game. So here's optional rules on page 20. So it looks like you got about 19 pages of rules in total added to this. Here's your introduction. This is talking about this carrier strike mat that we looked at before, where you kind of keep track of stuff. Tells you how to use this. There's that carrier track sheet again there. Going over carrier aircraft squadron, some of the new markers for that. You got air wing cards, which will be in here, which we'll take a look at. Component description. Here's that carrier attack strike card again. Carrier cards. So a lot of it's just describing the new stuff in here. And then you've got your carrier task force commander actions here. Aircraft squadron actions. You know, full color, dual column, a lot of, you know, big images in here to see the counters that you're going to be using. Here's the carrier expansion updates. Here's your mission setup, carrier mission setup, and mission setup sheet. And how you're going to conduct a mission. And then how to use that new chart. A lot of stuff going on to this new chart here. A carrier land strike, and then we're back to the end of the rules, which is at page 19. So a lot of good stuff there. I want to go back to this card again. This is not, it's on the same stock as the mission card, so it's not necessarily mounted. Probably been nice to have that mounted, since this looks like this is a pretty useful sheet that you're going to need for the carrier. But again, I'm still worried how I'm going to be able to get everything back in the box as it is. So any more thickness might just pop it right out of its base. All right, so let's get these open. So we got some more target cards here. See what we have here. Some new target cards that are probably specific to some of these new missions that come with this. So we got an enemy tank platoon. Look at that. Enemy troops. You know, if you're doing air missions and you're launching from a carrier, you're going to send your air to attack some land targets. So that's probably what this is all about here. Enemy air defense system. Oil storage, naval port, backfire bomber attack, bear bomber attack. So you have some new targets there. Let's open all these up because I think they kind of go back to back there. So yeah, if you're really interested in this whole system, then this is kind of a no-brainer. You want to get subs, you want to get carriers, get it all here. So I think this is these are the new commanders, the carrier commanders. Got quite a few of them there. There's McLean, Willard. And what you're going to see here is you're going to see that there are 3 for each one. So this is for Italy. And there's 3 there because it starts off at newbie, then goes to green, then goes to average, skilled, veteran, and then warrior. So you're going to have 6 levels, 3 cards for each one of these commanders, and these are all your carrier task force commanders. And they're going to have some has their general actions, and the general actions are different for these. They're not all the same. They have some specialized actions, and then of course you have the stress levels. Stress is a common factor or concept in the leader games. You know, they can affect you while you're in on a mission or in a campaign, and they also might knock you out of a rotation due to too much stress, or might, you know, send you home. So you got a whole deck of carrier commanders there. Then you got some new carriers here. The Giuseppe Garibaldi. And you're going to have, again, 3 cards for each one of these, which they start off at newbie and work their way all the way up to warrior, getting better as they go. And if you look here, you're going to see a detect for surface ships, a detect for, that looks like it's aircraft, and that's number of squad. So you got detect for surface ships and aircraft. So in the main game, the surface ships have detect for surface ships, subs, and air. So this one, you just got surface ships and air. So you got quite a few of those in here. The USS Constellation. And again, you're going to get 3 of these. There's a Roosevelt. You're going to get 3 of these for each one. To denote the 6 different levels on there. So then we've got so quite a few carriers to add to your collection. And then I assume that the rules that are carrier specific trump the rules that are in Spruance Leader, the way carriers are handled there. So if you wanted, this is kind of like more advanced or optional rules for carrier, I would imagine. The same is true for like the sub expansion as well. So here's your carrier air wing. These all have different backs. Let's see what the front looks like. Yeah, these are those air wing cards that we're talking about. So this is, I don't know how this works, but this looks interesting. They're set up by different years. So kind of cool there. Have to look that up. So you got different air wings here. So that is what you get in a bag of Spruance Leader Carriers expansion. Quite a lot of new stuff here. 3 counter sheets, 22-page or 19 rules, but 22-page rule booklet. Whole deck of carrier cards, which I imagine have some different rules based on that booklet, and some carrier-specific commanders. Some new target cards, probably to go along with the new missions. Several new missions in here. And this whole carrier airstrike target attack. You have this kind of display here that's going to add a little bit different gameplay for how to use carriers in there. So if you're looking at Spruance Leader, it's hard to even lift this up. If you're looking at this bad boy and you want to get carrier specific or get a little bit more into the detail of that aspect of the conflict, then this expansion pack is probably what you need. Anyway, Thanks for stopping by. Let me know you stopped by. Drop a comment. Love to hear from you, whether it's about this expansion, the subs expansion, the base game, or any DVG in general, or anything you want to talk about. I don't care. I'll listen. Anyway, thanks so much for stopping by, and have a good one. Thanks for watching.